the gaming industry going into the future is not looking bright. It's just insanely not looking good for the future of gaming, and especially when it comes to PlayStation. So, welcome back to another video. This is Tech and Gaming Reviews, so if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment down in the comment section down below at the end of the video of all of this. But, yeah. Gaming industry with what stuff is looking like, it doesn't look very bright. So, let's start the video. So, as from what it looks like, you can already tell from the title of the video, but there is apparently going to be more prices when it comes to PlayStation games, alright? Just a few days ago, PlayStation was hacked with, the future of Insomniac's list of games. We got basically games like Wolverine that's supposed to come out in 2025. Then we got Spider-Man 2, which is supposed to come out in 2028. And then also some other games such as the next Ratchet and Clank in 2029, and just the list goes on. But here is an interesting article that we're going to show you guys, and we will also discuss our pretty much angry rant of why we think that this is just not going to work out, and it's just going to make a lot of, just gamers really, really mad in the future if this is the future that we're heading into. So let's go on ahead and let's show you the article real quick, because trust me, it's going to be interesting. Alright, so here is what looks to be that could be happening, like I mentioned, especially with PlayStation. So this is from Niche Gamer, whatever you pronounce this site, and it says PlayStation reportedly planning on selling games in parts for $50 each. So basically, you're going to get parts of the story mode, and you're going to have to pay $50. So if you add that up, like let's say there's 3 parts in Spider-Man 2. Well, you're going to be pretty much paying $150 for the entire full game. But that's not it. It gets better than that. When I mean better, I'm actually being sarcastic, saying it's actually getting worse than that. And it says also raising overall prices to $80/$100. Now, I know that a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but if Sony at least just says the games are going to be $80 to $100, like instead of having to pay in parts, I definitely would not be against it. Because I mean you do have to think development cost is increasing by a large majority. Like, it's like getting more and more expensive. Like, if you remember, I think GTA 6 that was finally shown off on its first trailer a couple weeks ago actually was confirmed that it has cost Rockstar nearly $1 to almost $2 billion to make. But Rockstar will make that money back in profits no matter what. But this is where I would be okay with if they can do that. But paying parts is just something that I personally, and I know a lot of people, are just not going to like. and would prefer this over that. But there's some people that don't even prefer the price increase. But let's continue with the article of what it says. So Sony's subsidiary, however you pronounce it, Insomniac Games was hit by a massive data breach, after which the hackers threatened to release untold amounts of data unless they got a ransom pay, which they basically said, hey, Sony, you're going to pay us $2 million or we're going to do this. And Sony just didn't do it. And I think, in a way, Sony did make the smart move of not giving $2 million to probably these idiot, assholes, my language there, probably because they just wanted to do it to act like they're superior, just to be stupid to get a free penny. And I think it's smart that Sony did not do it. But chief among the leaks is an internal presentation, or however you pronounce that reveals not only is Sony planning on increasing game prices again from $70 to $80/$100, they're also planning to release the next Spider-Man game in 3 parts for $50 each. So right there, it's going to be 3 parts for $150. And then here's where it actually gets even better. Even with AAA games raising their prices across the board to a new $70 standard, Sony is planning to release Spider-Man 3 in 3 parts, 2 parts for the main game, and with multiplayer separately for a grand total of $150. So this game is only going to have 2 parts, but imagine a game having 3 to 4 parts that the developers do, and they charge $50 each, and another $50 on top of that for a multiplayer. That's literally almost enough. That's pretty much as a console, pretty much. Like, you could literally get an Xbox Series S, or even just maybe an okay, decent gaming PC for that price. So we're basically going to start getting into where we have to pay console prices for individual games. And I'm going to admit, this is not going to go well for the gaming industry. Like, games are just going to pretty much die, and I think that that's what they're trying to do. But moving on, while the leaks total around 1.76, almost 2 terabytes worth of confidential data, and mostly only relate to Insomniac-owned titles, it gives an insight into Sony's potential plans for all of PlayStation moving forward. Hackers demand a ransom of $2 million, and Insomniac Games refuse to pay it, so all of their data has been leaked to the public. And right there is another thing that also kind of makes me a little skeptic too. Right there, that's taking money out for especially the development cost for whatever game that they're making. So right there is taking more money out that these assholes are trying to ask for. And right there just make it even harder for those developers to even get their money and to even sell their game. Because now they're losing money to basically not produce that game or put it on hold until they make that money back up. I'm telling you, this is just really just weird. And it continues on and says the leak also includes very early media for their Wolverine game, which we now know is planned for part of a trilogy of X-Men games, alongside plans for a new Ratchet & Clank game and the phenomenal Spider-Man 3. I know that's not the wording there. The planned price increase for their games reportedly won't occur until 2027, which they project will have even more expensive development and production costs. So see, if they do raise prices to $80 when next gen comes, I would definitely be okay with that. And I know that there's going to be some people probably leaving us comments down below saying, bruh, the games don't even need to be 60 or 70. But the thing of it is, especially when it comes to their single player games, they tend to be really worth it. So I am all for it. But games like Rockstar that make trillions, billions of dollars for games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, and such, those games, they don't need to be no more than $70 at most, because they have microtransactions that they make billions upon billions every single quarter. So when it comes to multiplayer and just games from Rockstar, Call of Duty, those games can literally stay at like a average price. Heck, they could just even offer those games for free and they would still make like billions in profits every single time. They would still make billions of profits. But when it comes to really good complete single player games, especially awesome exclusives like Sony does, this is where I'm okay for at least the $80 to maybe $100. But $50 for like parts each individual, and like we stated there, even though Spider-Man 2, or well, not Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3 is confirmed to have 3 parts, 2 main storyline and multiplayer. What if games have, like I mentioned, 4 parts and a multiplayer, and you're basically paying $250, and that's even like almost 3 times more than just the $80 and $100 price point. So I don't know, man. This is just going to get a lot of people in the comment section, not just on our YouTube video that we're doing, but just PlayStation and just this article and the similar article from other insiders. It's just going to create a lot of freaking negativity comments from other people, because honestly, like, yeah, it's just not right. And honestly, people are going to be very mad, especially if they have to pay $50 parts in individual, parts of every single game going forward, because then it's just, you're basically just paying like way more than what you will for like something like a console, even a TV, a nice high quality TV, for an example, like $2,000 to $3,000 worth, where you're just going to be pretty much paying more than even just getting stuff like that. And I just think that this is just not going to go good for consumers and just the gamers basically worldwide out there. So, yeah. So, yeah. Sony and Just Gaming selling parts for pretty much $50 each, and like we mentioned, yet again, having a game having 4 parts, and as well as being able to play or pay for a multiplayer on top of that for $250, that's just insane. Like, there's a different way that Sony can do, or well, just games in general and developers. There is a much more better, different way that they can go with trying to help making more profits to help with development costs. Now, like raising the games like $80 up to $100, I think $80 is pretty much where I would land with it, but even $100 would still be better than paying like $200 or $250 or heck, even $300 with a few different parts, including a multiplayer in every single game. But honestly, I think $80, I will go with the lowest, because, I mean, with $70 being the increased price for this year, or this generation, I don't know why I said this year, but this generation with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, if we go to the next gen and they have to raise prices, then $80 would be perfect. I know That a lot of people's not going to be very happy with this. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if development cost for these games is costing more and more and more, and developers are getting laid off, like, I mean, Fortnite developers from Epic Games had to lay off quite a bit of hundreds of people. Then you got Naughty Dog that also had to just as well. So, I mean, you would understand that, you know, if they have to raise the price, then $80 for the 10th generation with the next gen, then I'm actually fine. I'm okay with that. Like, I will be fine with paying $80 for a full game, each single game, better than having to pay like $50 going up to like $200 to $300 worth of every single game with parts, including the online multiplayer. And I'm sure most of you gamers out there would agree on this. But selling games with parts of $50 a piece, and maybe even more than that, yeah, it's not going to go good for the gaming industry. Like, people probably will stop gaming, or at least a lot of gamers would stop gaming at that point, because then they just don't see the point of like wasting too much money on an individual game when they're basically going to be struggling as pretty much as it is already, with stuff going up high and inflation, you know, with just everything in the world. So, yeah, the gaming industry is just going to go downhill if that is the future that we're heading into. Because honestly, people are not going to be willing to pay $300 for each individual game. And that's basically like almost $2,000 worth that you're pretty much paying for 5 different games in 1 year, when you could literally buy a PlayStation 5, an Xbox Series X for half of that. You could buy 2 great consoles for half that price than what you would for 5 games, if that is the future that we're going into. So, yep, I don't know. It's just not looking good for the gaming industry if that is the route that we are heading into. This is Tech and Gaming Reviews. Hope you all enjoyed that rant. If you guys could smack that like button, subscribe if you are new to this channel, and we'll keep you posted with more content like this going forward. But also leave us a comment down in the comment section down below if this is just something you are not looking ever into and hoping that happens with video games in the future. So, just leave us your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.